This is a download from BFM 89.9, the business station.
Good afternoon, this is Tech Talk and I'm Jeff Sandhu. IFS provides end-to-end ERP software solutions and established its first Asian office in Malaysia almost 20 years ago to provide sales, professional services and support for its customers here. Here with me today is Sridharan Arumugam, Vice President of Southeast Asia for IFS Solutions, to talk about how local enterprises should consolidate and expand their business. Let's talk a bit about IFS. It started in Sweden in 1983 and its first Asian office in Malaysia in 1994, which is over 2,800 employees worldwide with more than 2,100 companies in over 60 countries that rely on IFS applications. And what made this growth possible in what seemed like a sort of like a very short space of time as well?
Yes, of course, it's a short space of time. We have grown so fast, and the foundation for this growth is actually the technology. Being a Swedish company, and most of the Swedish companies are well known for their technology. Likewise, IFS foundation based on the technology. If you look at technology of IFS, that was 20 years back when they decided to go on a component-based technology. Now we see we are the pioneer in component technology, and we are seeing the fruits of the benefits of component technology that's actually giving a flexibility for the customers, flexibility for the companies. It's making them their business agile. So that's one of the reasons why we have grown so fast, and also growing much faster now, simply because customers realize that the business has to be agile, ready to change, and of course that's supported by IFS technology. So the background to this growth is actually a technology, I would say. Of course there are other factors like more and more companies involved in a global economy. They have to be ready. You cannot be playing in your backyard. You're not only competing with the local companies. You have to, the market is opening up. You need to compete with the global companies, MNCs and so on. To be able to do that, you need to have an efficient system, a business solution like IFS applications, and being an agile solution that of course supports that.
When you talk about technology being one of the key drivers of this growth and all, 20 years ago, we probably would have never seen the mobile surge, the rising cost of, mobile and mobile phones. There's so many mobile phones these days. How do you sort of evolve when it comes to technology to try to keep up pace with what consumers are demanding for?
Yeah, see, innovation is very, very important, even more now because because of the awareness and globalization again. Those companies, those things that we used to be relevant 5 years ago may not be relevant now. Even 3 years ago, we didn't even think that not only our private life, now business life also driven by social media. One of the key things to this is things like apps, mobility, and so on. So companies like IFS, technology companies, we need to innovate, and we have to be on top of this, up to date. And what we do, we from IFS, we work always closely with the customers, and as well as getting feedback from industry advisory councils. Internally, we have a Center of Excellence who collaborate with the customers to get their feedback, see what are the market driving forces and so on, incorporate that into our R&D, which is actually a key to our innovation, R&D, as well as using or actually getting support from our existing customers, who many of them volunteer to be pioneers into whenever we launch a new technology, pioneer to try it out, and even before we release to the market. So that is actually driving us into this innovation and keeping us up to date with the market needs and demand.
So it's all with the help of customers.
Yes, that's right. We listen and respond. We don't dictate like others and dominate. And that's one of the key differentiated factor between us and our competitors.
You provide quite a few numbers of solutions, different solutions. So, what criteria do you use in determining the best business solutions for each client? Because they're always different, and even though if they are in the same industry, there's always something unique about each company. How do you decide which application is best for them?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a good question. One size doesn't fit into everyone. So in the ERP sector or even any business, IFS solution supports management of 4 key processes, namely service and asset management, manufacturing, project management, and supply chain management. Somehow, if you look at the industries, our customer base, and so on, they will somehow fall into one of these category, one of these processes. So that's the key thing for us. We will, before advising our customers, even recommending a solution, we will study this. We will find out what is the base, what is their business basis, and so on. Based on that, we will select the best practice model from our database and use that as a blueprint to implement a solution for the customer.
What are the benefits can a local enterprise expect by having IFS applications or softwares, and how is it different compared to other software solutions from other large vendors?
Okay. Talking about system, earlier I mentioned that this is a global economy. Everyone has to be in this, using technology. Business solution is a key for you to move forward on a larger scale. Medium to large enterprises, this is mandatory for them to grow and to compete and be relevant in the market. So by having IFS type of IFS, in fact, we give a complete agility to the business. Business can focus on their core business and having less concern on their business system like IFS, because IFS built on agile methodology and it's built to change. So customers can start small, having focusing on their core business, at the same time having a security that IFS will grow with the business. IFS, as I mentioned, it moves from a medium size to large enterprises. When you are small, you can have a small components and easy implementation, having a low total cost of ownership. And when you grow, you add in things as you move along. The component technology behind IFS, as I explained earlier, supports this nature, the way you move forward when you grow. So that gives you a security, and that's one of the clear advantages that we have compared to our competitors that that are built on monolithic solution, very rigid. You can't even change it. Even if you change it, comes with a very high cost, and it takes time for you to see the return of investment. Right?
Do you work with more smaller companies, or do you work more with larger companies?
We target the medium to large enterprises. That's a solution designed for. Yeah, of course, small companies can use the system, but if you look at the small companies, normally they operate a small number of people, a small number of transactions, and so on, which is still practical to manage.
Doesn't really require
a integrated ERP solution.
How do you set the objectives for each company, and what do you do to meet these objectives?
Yeah, I mean, I believe objective most of the companies are to be profitable, to be efficient, and so on. By having integrated solution like IFS, of course, they can meet their objectives. System will give them a transparency. They will have a good control of all the business processes and so on. And of course, when IFS is implemented, it comes with best practice model. This is we gather this best practice model based on our experience, 30 years experience in the market from US and Europe and so on. So we can apply this into a companies with a similar requirement, and that, of course, really we are moving or we're giving them initial or quick advantage of having a solid business practice, and that will help them to achieving their own goals and productivity, operational efficiencies, and so on. So that's what you see by implementing a system. These are the advantages that you see. They are tangible and intangible benefits comes with the system implementation.
I'm speaking to Sridharan Arumugam, our Vice President of Southeast Asia for IFS Solutions, and in just a moment we'll talk about the advantages of IFS and how they work with businesses here in Malaysia. BFM 89.9. Jeff Sandhu here, and with me today is Sridharan Arumugam, the Vice President of Southeast Asia for IFS Solutions. And early on, we spoke about the areas that you focus on when you are working with an organization. So what sort of training do you provide to a company's personnel in maximizing their performance?
Yeah, Sure. This training, when it comes to training, of course, the first thing that we do when we sell the IFS application is to implement the solution. Implementation involves the knowledge transfer from IFS, our consultants. Our consultants are, they are experienced in various industry sector with the processes and so on. The knowledge transfer will happen during the implementation side. And during implementation, training will be provided from various aspects. One is from business process itself, functionality of the system, as well as technical part of it. So these are the three core training that we provide to the customers or users within the customer's environment. Yeah.
What investments are you making in delivering and keeping up with evolving technologies? Like you mentioned, we've moved on very quickly in the past 20 years. So what investments are you looking at?
R&D is very important for innovation. So we invest a lot in doing research on latest and current need, whether it's from a business perspective or technology perspective. So our team, we work a lot closely with customers, our existing customers, as well as industry analysts and advisory councils. We have a center of excellence around the world. They work a lot, collaborate a lot with the existing customers as well as industry expertise to gather this information, and based on this feedback and on the demand, we will come out with a beta version of the solution. Beta version for a current need, let's say a need or future need, and this beta version will be put into market, and we'll get volunteers. As I mentioned, many of our customers, volunteer to be a what do you call it, to test drive, so-called test drive the latest or beta version. So we let them test it. Once it's proven, it works and it gives benefit from a business perspective as well as technology perspective, we release to market. So that's one way of keeping up to latest demand and so on. Another thing is we also invest a lot in what we call it as IFS Labs. IFS Labs is a place where we throw in a lot of all sort of innovation ideas and the wildest possible ideas we try out, and once that is proven, we'll release to market. One good example is touch apps. You can see, you can download apps from Android market and Google market and so on. Now IFS is available on market as well. You can just download and try it out. So this is one of the what you call it, end product of IFS Labs. So we constantly look for requirement and try out, and so that we can meet and keep updated on the latest trends and demand.
You mentioned you have a big R&D team, and what you do is you basically develop a beta product, yes. And then if it's benefiting for a company, you will then release it. How long is the process actually like from a beta to a final product?
Yeah, it's very much it depends on the type of solution that we develop. IFS in terms of versions, every 2 to 3 years we come out with a major release, and in between these 2 to 3 years we'll come out with product extensions. So it's very much depending on the type of things that we have. Major release come with a lot of changes from a business perspective as well as a technology side, because you cannot have the same technology after 2 years or 3 years. You know how it changes. Technology changes on a daily basis, I would say, and whereas the extensions are typically to address a demand within a certain industry sector, and that is very quick. Within 3 months or within 6 months we release extensions, whereas major release will take 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, what are the most common signs of a poorly constructed business systems, and how do you identify and recommend the best suite of solutions to remedy this problem that a company is facing?
It's a very good question, I would say, because many ERP system implementation failures. That the major cause is the technology behind the solution as well as the way it's implemented. Many of our competitors still struggling to break their monolithic application, which is actually rigid, very difficult to change. Even if you change, it comes at a very big cost, high cost, as well as the implementation duration. It takes minimum 2 years to 3 years to see the return of investment, and of course some of these solutions are not fully integrated. They work in a isolated manner, so information is not shared between systems and so on. Whereas for IFS, even though it's a component-based solution, but it is fully integrated. So customer can start small, It's not monolithic, it's component based. You select the components, modules that will address your current needs, and while you grow, you can decide a new component that you need to add in. It's like a plug and play. When you make changes, you don't need to make changes to your core solution that you have implemented. That means your investment is really protected, as well as it gives you time to implement this step by step. You don't need to make drastic changes. The initial investment will not be big, and you have full control of your implementation and business system, right? So that guarantees, return of investment. I would say very often I've seen many of our customers go live with the system within 6 months, and that is, that's possible with because of the technology behind IFS applications.
So do you go into a company who requires something, but they're not sure, where can they improve? So do you come in and sort of give like a technical diligence in terms of what softwares do they have and where can they improve?
Yes, that's also a good question. So not every companies that wanted to go with the ERP solution know exactly what they need. So in those cases, what we do, we offer what you call it a pre-study. Pre-implementation study. We study their current business model, the need from a business solution perspective, and all sort of things from business solution as well as technology. And based on this, we come out with a idea and also a recommendation for them to start. And again, because of technology, because of component architecture of IFS, it allows us to recommend to a customer in a step-by-step basis. Of course, the overall picture is for them to have a fully integrated system, but they can start small. We try to address the areas that are bleeding now. So we need to quickly put together a configure a solution to address those requirements while having this long-term plan to have a fully integrated solution.
If I'm a CEO of a big or a medium or large organizations, obviously I'm going to be asking you only one question, which is what is the estimated time frame before business sees a return on investments after implementing IFS business solutions?
This that's of course a question always before investment. You need to ask how fast I can see the return of this investment, and that's also one of the criteria normally companies see before implementing a system. With IFS, simply because of the technology, it allows easy and fast implementation. So we have done implementation completely within 6 months, and compared to our competitors, you have to wait for 2 years. The moment they go live with the system, most of our customers, they see return of their investment, benefit from having a good control of the system. They have a good control of their business areas, from finance perspective, from sales perspective, from production perspective, maintenance, and so on. So we see, it can be as quick as 6 months time they see the return, right? Other cases where system, a very simple system like only financial system is being implemented, we can implement it within 3 months. As I said, within 3 months you can see the return. So it varies from one customer to customer, industry to industry, and of course decided by the customer. And our component technology allows them to see the return as soon as possible.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome.
I've been speaking to Sritaran Arumugam. He's the Vice President of Southeast Asia for IFS Solutions, talking about business solutions for organizations that are looking to expand here in Malaysia. BFM 89.9.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my or find us on iTunes. BFM 89.9, the business station.